Hey guys, welcome to the episode of where we question the way politics shapes our lives. Today's episode, choose humanity over negative ideology. In a world divided by left versus right, nationalism versus globalism, and countless other isms, we must ask, what happens when ideology matters more than people? In politics, ideologies can inspire progress, or blind us into conflict. The question is, do we let rigid doctrines guide us, or do we put human dignity at the center of every decision? Do you know the trap of negative ideology? Ideology is supposed to be a compass, but when it becomes absolute, it turns into a cage. Because blindfolded ideology reduces people to labels, us versus them, loyal versus traitor, believer versus enemy. And conflicts like Ukraine versus Russia, Israel-Palestine, extremist politics in South Asia, show how negative ideologies can justify violence over dialogue. The point is, psychologically, this comes from in-group bias. Our brains are wired to protect our tribe and distrust outsiders, even if that distrust destroys everyone's future. Can you differentiate intellectual versus blindfolded ideology? Intellectual ideologies are open to debate, evidence, and adaptation. They evolve with human needs. Blindfolded ideologies demand obedience, reject questions, and punish dissent. They feed on fear and loyalty, not truth. Example, liberal democracies often reinvent policies through dialogue, while authoritarian regimes lock citizens into rigid dogmas, even if those dogmas harm the very people they claim to protect. Historical lesson is fascism in the 20th century rose because people followed emotion-driven ideology rather than humanity-driven reason. Do you know intellectual versus blindfolded ideology? Intellectual ideologies are open to debate, evidence, and adaptation. They evolve with human needs. Blindfolded ideologies demand obedience, reject questions, and punish dissent. They feed on fear and loyalty, not truth. For example, liberal democracies often reinvent policies through dialogue, while authoritarian regimes lock citizens into rigid dogmas, even if those dogmas harm the very people they claim to protect. Historical lesson: fascism in the 20th century rose because people followed emotion-driven ideology rather than humanity-driven reason. Can we just dive into the psychology of political manipulation? Negative ideologies thrive on fear, fear of outsiders, fear of loss, fear of change. Politicians weaponize this by exaggerating threats. Psychologists call this availability bias. We fear what is most visible, not what is most real. For example, terrorism gets more attention than poverty, though poverty kills far more people. Why? Because fear wins votes. To outsmart this, citizens need cognitive immunity, which is the ability to pause, fact-check, and resist emotional manipulation. I can understand that you are confusing to choosing humanity. I'll help you with practical ways to prioritize humanity in politics. 1. Ask who suffers. If a policy harms the weakest, it's negative ideology over humanity. Measure leaders by compassion. Intelligence without empathy builds cages, not communities. Practice perspective taking. Before judging, imagine life in the shoes of those the negative ideology demonizes. And support policies that unite. Progress never comes from dividing neighbors. Ideologies will always exist. They guide nations, movements, and revolutions. But when ideology demands that we abandon humanity, it's no longer a guide, it's a weapon. Choosing humanity means refusing to let negative politics write the story of our future. So next time you hear a leader call for loyalty, ask, loyalty to what? An idea?